Bonjour. Hello. Welcome. This is part 4 of our faith run through the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Last time, we went through Castellensis, part of Skidoo Altus, and the Ruined Forge of Starfall Past. For items, we got ourselves as a weapon, the Loyal Knight's Cookbook, the Wolfcrest Shield, Moonorthel Knight Sword, Rolana's Cameo, the Sorcery Glintblade Trio, the Ash of War Wing Stance, Remembrance of the Twin Moon Knight, Ash of War Flame Skewer, the Prayer Room Key, the Black Steel Great Shield, Arrow's Soaring Sting Talisman, the Serpent Flail, the map for Skidoo Altus, the Dryleaf Arts hand-to-hand weapon, Dane's Hat, a cookbook for spell-proof pickled liver, the Smith Script Spear, the Smithing Talisman, the Smith Script Cirque, however you pronounce that, the Ancient Meteoric Ore Greatsword, and an Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone. And as you can see here, we've got a little way marker. So the way that I do recordings is I'll record like 2 to 3 parts back to back to back, and then I'll take like 2 to 3 days of not recording. Why? I'm not really sure, honestly. There's kind of no reason for it. Here we got Heal from Afar. But whenever I stop, because, I mean, sometimes I record the very next day, sometimes I don't record for 3 weeks. It just depends on some things. But because of that uncertainty, I tend to put a way marker on like the next location I want to go to. And I just have faith that future me can figure it out. And thankfully, because this is the faith run, I was able to figure it out. There have been a few times in the past where I've not been able to figure it out. And it was a little embarrassing. Now, up there, can't really see it because we don't have the map fragment yet, but there's another ruined forge. So, we did one last time. If you didn't watch the last part or didn't go that far, and you're unsure of what they are, they're kind of like the tunnels in the base game where they have sturdier, rocky enemies that are a bit harder to take down, but they also have a lot of upgraded materials. And so if you're looking to upgrade a weapon, good for that. We're just gonna run past those golem enemies, because I don't particularly care for them. Rude. No, their weapon, like the melee weapon, the golem halberd. Despite being called a halberd, it is a colossal weapon, but it's actually really good. It's a random chance to drop, but it's so good. There are a lot of weapons that are really good. There are a lot of weapons that I highly recommend trying. And I highly recommend trying that one if you can get your hands on it. But anyways, it's this little structure on the map. And something else about those is at the end, there's actually no boss. Instead, there's like a little furnace, and when you interact with the furnace, you get a weapon. In this one, in the one we did the last time, it was a colossal sword. There's another one where it's a colossal weapon, and it's a hammer. But you also get an ancient dragon smithing stone. So that's kind of nice. They're also very easy to run through. And it's gotten to the point where, at least when I'm not recording, that's what I typically do. Because you can run through a ruined forge in like a minute. Super quick, super easy. No problem whatsoever. Kind of like what I'm doing here, just ignore the enemies, sprint, except for there because we want to take a drop to get a skidoo tree fragment. And so precision is a little good there. And then here, enemy. Uh-oh. Well, well, well. I didn't roll because I didn't think it would hit me. So, we did not take that enemy seriously, and they almost killed us. But we stole his hat. So all's well that ends well. And then here, two-handed sword talisman. One of the best talismans for strength builds. Enhances attacks with two-handed weapons. So if you're two-handing a weapon, yeah, get more damage. Very simple, very straightforward. Very good for basically any weapon that has a weight more than 7. Because that tends to be the strength weapons. And we are going to stay up here to avoid all those guys. Now, there's a spirit spring jump here. And I remember in my initial run, I went up here when 2 beast horns. Wow, that is a waste of resources on the developer's end. But in my most recent non-recorded run, I found this little path. And I found something that is very good for a faith run, actually. And it's in this chest right here. It is the Divine Bird Warrior Ornis. This is a Spirit Ash that costs 131 FP. And it says, Spirit of the Divine Bird Warrior from whom the Horned Warriors claim descent, clad in gold armor, and granted wings and feathers by divine invocation. Ornis succeeded in taming the divine bird and made its wings his own as he soared through the sky. When he finally fell to earth, He lived on as the guardian deity of the temple quarter. So here is the Temple Town ruins. But over here in Liurnia is the temple quarter. And so I find it a bit interesting that it specifically says temple quarter and not Temple Town ruins, which it's right next to. But anyways, I think this is going to be our Spirit Ash. For... Oh, but how do we get down from here? This is how. But as you can tell by us fighting the one enemy that almost killed us, the Divine Bird Warriors are pretty strong. Now granted, part of that was because I was playing poorly, partly because I'm wearing a non-defensive set, and partially because this is New Game Plus, where everything is more damage. But still, they're pretty strong enemies. And there's another Divine Bird Warrior Spirit Ash. Because the enemy that we fought has one big weapon. This one has two smaller ones. And the other Spirit Ash has the one big weapon. And it's one of my favorite Spirit Ashes. And it's very powerful, but you get it in the very final area. And so that didn't really seem super feasible in terms of like, hey, I want to use a DLC Spirit Ash instead of Mimic here. And so me finding this one instead in the run right before this, that seemed like the world trying to tell me something. And maybe it was trying to say, hey, you wanted to use this weapon? So when we swing, it puts the other weapon in our other hand and then just teleports back. I don't think that's supposed to happen, but it happened. So over here, right by that like mound of rocks with the two big bears, right here on the map, you get the gloried set. And we're gonna move on. Although I have to. Right. This boss, they drop an incantation. Alright, so we have to do it for the incantation because it's the Faith Run. Like, we can't not get an incantation in the incantation run. It just wouldn't be right. Right? Also, it gives me an excuse to use Giant Flame Take Thee, which is just such a good incantation. It's so powerful. And would you look at that? $420,000 runes. the Aurora Rugalea, which has an incantation of what is jokingly called the Bear Communion, channels the power of Rugalea, the Great Red Bear, transform oneself into a Great Red Bear and emit a mighty roar. Charging increases potency. An incantation that is more akin to the divine invocation of the Horn Scent than it is to the Dragon Communion. Only through desperate battle with the feral wild can one discover a god unique to oneself. And then here the gloried set, traditional garb of Highland warriors, made from woven fabric and finished with fur. The garment is made, or this garment, I can't read English, is made from fabrics with both red and blue patterns. Red pattern fabrics were allowed only to those who hunted bears, the greatest and most glorious of the Highlanders. And I think we can rock it. Because we did hunt a bear. And I want to use stuff that's new to the DLC. Because what's the point of a DLC run if we're not going to use DLC stuff? Right? Now, I would have used Divine Bird Warrior Ornis, but we didn't have them upgraded. But I'm going to head into here. And we're going to go down. We're going to get the Set of Grace, and we're going to come back up and go upgrade Ornis. Because I do want to use them. I don't want to rely on them for every single boss. But I do want to use them and see what they're about. So are you good? Listen. If I tried to attack him, my weapon would have bounced off the door. And I didn't want to look like a goof by having my weapon bounce off the door. So I had to hit him with the horn calling. And I was gonna say, I don't know if I have these like ghost glowworts. So hopefully I do, but I don't know. But thankfully we do. Also, I don't know why exactly. Like, I have not been able to figure it out. Oh, 9. But recently, and I mean very recently, in the past like 2 or 3 days, Elden Ring has randomly been closing. And it usually happens when I try teleporting to a site of grace. Or when I try to rest at a site of grace. I mean, the game will just close. It'll send me back. Not to the main menu of the game, but to the main, like, desktop. And I'm not sure why. My best guess is that, like, an NVIDIA update made some things go wonky. I only have 30 endurance compared to the normal, like, 45 to 55. But a single horn calling was half my stamina bar. So yeah, I do think it takes just a wee bit too much stamina. But also, that's not going to stop us either from using it or using it to a good effect. Because we can and will do both. But here, slam. Now, the question on whether we're going to go through all of this or just a portion of it. Well, I'm just going to go through a portion of it. That's very easy. However, over there, behind those enemies, is another Spear Dash, and it's of a twin blade wielding Black Knight. And it's very good. Like, one of the best. Ow. And so I'd highly suggest using that. Alright, now here, there are two enemies. And how are we going to deal with that? And the answer is easily. The answer is very, very easily. And then here you get Knight's Lightning Spear, which is a variation of the base game's Lightning Spear. Which is very simple. You take a bolt of lightning, you throw it at the enemy. Very simple, very straightforward. It works and it works well. I thought that was going to miss, because those enemies are kind of fast. Right over there is where that slammed down and hit us. So we're just on the other side of that. But now we can head down. And yet, Rugalea, I don't think I've actually used it, but I don't think it's too good. I mean, it only requires 14 faith and only costs 17 FP. It can't be that good. But Knight's Lightning Spear, that's a good one. Also, we have raises vitality, but not greatly raises vitality. Like, we have the weaker version, not the stronger version. Which is a bit unfortunate. However, we can just be better. Simple as that. We can just be better. Now here, there's two imp enemies and like a mage enemy. And the game wants you to walk in and have the two imp enemies jump down and start attacking you as the mage enemy messes with you. However, Frenzied Burst. Boom. Need I say more? Oh, it missed. Oh. I thought they were gonna move. It missed. Shock. Surprise. Oh. Horrifying. The people tremble in fear at the mere notion that horn calling could possibly miss. Now you can drop off to the right, and there's a little side segment there. However, it's not anything crazy. Also, we have the base game Lightning Spear on. And here, Stake-O-Matica. In case we die, we have 145 FP, that takes 131, so we can spawn them in. We can pop this. Oh, game performance for a minute. Okay. Game performance is back. Ignore the fact that I missed. And yet, that one that they used is Knight's Lightning Spear. And it's very good. I don't think I should be charging this. I think he's just a wee bit too fast. Ow. I know how to dodge the grab attack. But the blink bolts, never got those down. Especially that one. Or the one with all the extra lightning to it. Actually, hold on. Idea. It may not be a good idea. Especially considering we're down to one flask and he has over half health still. He is adamant on looking at me. Ah, there you go. Smart man. That was pure luck. Sir, please. I am now out of heal flasks. Yeah, that one I'm garbage at dodging. Ooh, I was about to say, hold up, can we spam this? And just stun lock him? And then he immediately blink bolted. So I'm gonna go with probably no. However, we can kill him. $260K? Okay, I played that horribly. But I would recommend going to this catacomb purely for Knight's Lightning Spear and Death Knight's Long Heft Axe. Because this is a really good weapon. Like, one, just look at it. Good range. incredible design. It's got a good move set. I really like the swiping charges. They feel a lot more elegant than just slamming the weapon into the ground. And then I've heard some people like that move. I used this weapon in either my first or second run. I think my initial run. And I like never use this. I never used that. But I used the light attacks and the heavy attacks. And very good. Highly recommend it. And then we can... this one... I don't think this one gives a weapon. I think this one gives a Spirit Ash. And it gives the Spirit Ash of the, like, big stone enemies that are in that area. And so... that's cool. But we have Ornis to have her back. So we're not going to use it. Or we're not going to go there. However, down here there's a fort. And I like to keep things around an hour in these parts. And we're at 32 minutes, so... this might be a bit, lowballing the time a bit. Because I don't think it'll take 28 minutes to do a fort. Because it is a pretty small fort. But still. Also, those dragons... they are, I believe, weak to holy. And beating them gets you an ancient stone. Whether it's a normal ancient stone or an ancient somber stone, I don't remember, but it's one of the two. And here, lightning spear. And as you can see, it's better at killing people than beer. I don't think they liked my rhymes. But you do get some good runes out of it. Some good poppable runes. And this enemy is weird. Oh, you'll love to see that damage. Anyways, this is why they're weird. Because that's all they do. And once again, good poppable runes. I believe they give like 25 and 30k respectively. Don't quote me on that, though. But here, we got a Blessing of Medica. And we can head back to the front of the fort. And I'm going to throw on Knight's Lightning Spear. Just to show it off. Because... once again, what's the point of a DLC run if you're not going to use DLC stuff? So, going from Lightning Spear to Knight's Lightning Spear, you require 17 to 36 faith, and the FP cost goes from 18 to 29. And also heal from afar. We picked that up, but didn't really focus on it. Partially because it's not super good. It's like very niche. Archery heal is just usually better. And yeah. As you can see, Knight's Lightning Spear is good. Now, part of that is probably because we have 80 Faith, an Archery Seal plus 10, and Flock's Canvas Talisman, but... we don't need to point out that it's mostly strong because we have very high stats and stat boosting equipment. Down there's a lot of Smithing Stone 5s and 6s. I was gonna say I'm not gonna do it, but then I looked at the timer. And we definitely have the time, so... I hit it a second time because I didn't think I was gonna have enough range to get the second guy. That range is good, though. But here we have 8 6s and 7 5s. So... very good if you want to upgrade a weapon. Because you need 12 of each. Alright, just tapping that one-shot him. Gentlemen. I thought he was going to be a bit more gung-ho. Maybe he wasn't because he saw 2 of his friends get shot by lightning. Which is very understandable. If I was a soldier guarding a fort and I watched 2 people get shot by lightning, I probably wouldn't be too keen on going after whoever decides to show up directly after that. I probably wouldn't walk towards that person with a spear. I'd probably try to play it a bit friendlier, but yeah, maybe that's just me. Hello, good sir. Hello, good sir. And you're dead. Now, you can actually get up there by going from Castle Front down this way, down into this poison swamp area, and then going up here. And then there's a spirit spring jump that allows you to get up there. And if you go up there, there is a chest. What's in the chest, you don't need to know. Keep this spot in mind. We're gonna come back here. For now, we're going to grab this set of grace. We're going to come over here, and we're going to drop down here. This brings us back into the first room of the fort. And then we can drop down into here, where we can get a Shadow Realm rune. Yeah, you have fire, but I have lightning. And lightning wins. That gets us an Iris of Occultation. And the Medica rune. So an Iris of Occultation it can either be used to, like, click on a great rune. The great runes being like Godric gets you 5 points in every stat. Rauh gets you health back whenever you kill an enemy. Radahn's gets you health, FP, and stamina. Morgoth gets you health. So if you equip one of those, then you can use an Iris of Occultation to pop that. Same thing as a Rune Arc, basically. But it makes you lose all of your runes, or it can be used as like an ending for 2 different NPCs. There's the Iris of Occultation and the Iris of Grace. One Iris gets you their weapon, one Iris gets you their ash. Like their spirit ash. Which one is which? I don't remember. I think Occultation is the weapon. But I'm gonna probably pop Grace for both of those NPCs. But then Medica Rune gets you 80,000 runes. There are 2 of them in the DLC. And then Mesmer Soldier Ashes. These are like all the basic Soldier Ashes. Godric, Rauh, Radahn. It's just like 2 basic soldiers. I'd say Mesmer and Radahn are the 2 best. And this is where I said remember the spot. Because now we're back here. Right over there and to the left is the Grace that we got. Here we can pop this. And we can throw this. We stance broke him. We're crazy. Alright, so the reason why I jogged at him is because I thought he was going to use aspects of the Crucible Wings, and he didn't. But also, that last swing was unnecessary. We killed him with nothing but Knight's Lightning Spear. We also stance broke him, which is crazy. And stopped him from using aspects of the Crucible Wings. Knight's Lightning Spear is actually really good. Highly suggest it. Now, if you come up here, at the top of this ladder, there's a chest. Inside has a cookbook for Festive Grease. Festive Grease, it's like the other greases, but instead of giving you damage, when you smack an enemy, you get 10 runes. So I'm not going to pick it up. But something else you can do is you can jump onto this. And while you're up here, you can drop down onto this tarp, tent, whatever you want to call it. And then you can walk over here. And then you can drop down onto here. And there's a Site of Grace. And when I said you can go into the poison area and take a Spirit Spring jump up, this is where you land. Over here is where the Omen Killer was that we hit with the Giant's Flame Take Thee. And right here is the ladder where you can go up. And here's the chest. And inside of this chest, you get yourself 4 Smithing Stone 8, which is pretty nice. Now, like I said, I like to keep things around an hour, a little under. I'd say like 58 minutes is perfect for what I like to do with these parts. And we're at 45. Meaning we've got about 15 minutes. The dog ran out of that and then ran back into it. The dog is not smart. Dogs. I know I could just R1 the enemies. Just smack, smack, smack. But the horn calling is so fun. I can be like, hey, you. Dead. You. Dead. From range, too. You'll love to see it. There, Pearl Drake, or Pearl Shield Talisman, boosts all non-physical damage negation while guarding. So you throw on a shield, and it gets you more magic, fire, lightning, and holy damage negation. And I don't have it. But I know where it is. Right around here, by Erdtree Gazing Hill, if you straight where this is pointing, and then a little down, there's some enemies standing on ballistas overlooking like a little fort or camp or something. If you go into that camp, there's like a carriage with a chest, and it gets you a talisman. Well, there's two. One gets you a weapon, which is pretty decent. Colossal Sword. But the other gets you a talisman that boosts your guarding ability. Like your guard boost. And if you don't know guard boost, it's like how much stamina do you lose when you shield an attack? And the higher your guard boost, the less stamina you lose. And so, if you get that, it'll boost your guard boost. And then you can throw on that and Pearl Shield Talisman, which boosts your non-physical damage negation. And then I don't have it, but the Curved Sword Talisman, which boosts guard counters. Which with guard counters, when you shield and an enemy hits your shield, you can then do a heavy attack. And it does like a counter attack. If you have those three on, that makes for a very good dueling shield build. Pretty good for PvP. Not incredible, mind you. Not by any means, but kind of a meme build. That's fun to embarrass invaders on. Oh. But here, Smith Script Axe. And just across the way, whoop, you get the Smith Script Great Hammer. And there are 3 Smith Script, well, technically 4. But Smith Script weapons where if you do the heavy attack, you throw the weapon. Very cool. I like them a lot. They're not like crazy good, but they're fun. They are a lot of fun. Sir? And you can get their weapon as a random chance drop. Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone. And jump. Actually, if you want any weapons, because I do a lot of characters, Smith Script Shield. Alright, so 5 Smith Script weapons, because I forgot about this one. But I do a lot of runs, and when I'm done with a run, I tend to just delete the character and start a new run. But I always have like 4 or 5 characters that are at the end of the game just with inventory full of stuff. And so if you want anything, feel free to let me know. If you want to start the game with some end game piece of equipment. Like, let's say you really like the Great Katana, and you want to do an entire run with the Great Katana, but you don't want to go all the way into the DLC before getting access to it. You can just let me know. I'll drop you a Great Katana. If I've got something on any of my characters, I'll drop it for you. Like, you think I'm gonna use all these weapons? No. Actually, I have very little on this character. I tend to keep the recorded characters very... Yeah, Golem's Halberd, like I said, very good weapon. I was using it earlier on this character, and then I respect to go a bit more into Dex. But anyways, yeah, Taylews the Golem Smith, which are those big enemies that were smacking me. Very defensive. Lots of poise. But yeah, for these recorded runs, I tend to either sell or throw everything to storage to keep the inventory pretty bare bones to make it easier to go through items. Yeah, like I have all this stuff just in storage. A lot of stuff. I'm not gonna use any of this. I've got a few upgraded weapons like the Coated Sword, the Envoy's Great Horn, Golem's Halberd. Like, I've got some weapons upgraded that I'm not using. I have way more in storage that I'm not using. So if you want something, and I do have some pretty rare stuff on some of my characters, like the Noble's Estoc, or I think it's, I don't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's a curved sword, and it has like a magma, or it's made of magma. Very rare, at least from what I've heard. But I have a character that got like 1 or 2 of those just randomly. So if you want something, let me know, because I'm definitely willing to drop stuff just because. But anyways, I think we can end it here. In this part, we went through with the Ancient Ruins base, the Temple Town Ruins, all the way up into the Scorpion River Catacombs, going through that. We went through the Fort of Reprimand, and finally Taylews' Ruined Forge. For items, we have gotten ourselves Heal from Afar, the map for Rauh Ruins, the two-handed sword talisman, Divine Bird Warrior Ornis, the Gloried Set, the Roar of Rugalea, Knight's Lightning Spear, Death Knight's Long Haft Axe, the Cerulean Amber Medallion +3, the Flame Drake Talisman +3, an Iris of Occultation, America's Rune, the Mesmer Soldier Ashes, Ash of War Aspects of the Crucible Wings, the Pearl Shield Talisman, the Smith Script Axe, Smith Script Great Hammer, Smith Script Shield, Taylews the Golem Smith, and 2 Ancient Dragon Smithing Stones. And with that being said, yeah,